Okay, hello dear friends. Page 199 of A Dream of Red Mansion. A Dream of Red Mansions 199. Back in her room, Daiyu collapsed, and began to vomit blood. For the next few days, she could not move from her bed. When she felt a little better, she got Zijuan to help her rise to a sitting position, and then called Xue Yan to bring her poems. And after she had received the pile of papers, she nodded at a case nearby. Xue Yan did not move, and it was not until Daiyu had coughed up more blood while pointing at the case that she realized Daiyu wanted to be given it. Zijuan told Xue Yan to fetch a handkerchief from the case for Daiyu, but Daiyu threw it aside and managed to mumble that she wanted the one with writing on it. Zijuan understood that she wanted the old handkerchief that Baoyu had given her, and that she had written a poem on. However, as soon as she was given this handkerchief, Daiyu began to try to rip it into pieces. Yet she did not have the strength to tear it, so instead she dropped it onto the nearby fire. She then tried to pick up her pages of poetry, but after glancing at them, she put them down. Zijuan went to move them in case the fire should catch them, but as she did so, Daiyu leaned against her and used her new balance to throw all her pages of poem into the fire. So Daiyu started to burn all the handkerchief and the poem. Page 200. The preparation for Baoyu's marriage were well underway, and although he was still upset about the disappearance of his piece of jade, when he was told that he would soon marry Daiyu, Baoyu suddenly felt much better, and he soon recovered. He recovered his health. When the wedding day arrived, a large sedan chair was carried into Baoyu's courtyard, while the family musicians played an uplifting tune. 12 pairs of young serving girls held up palace lanterns as the master of ceremonies called for the bride to come down from her chair. Though Baoyu saw that the bride's face was masked by a long veil, the sight of Xue Yan, one of Daiyu's servants, helping her down from the chair was enough to reassure him and made his heart jumping with joy. So this is the young bride, and he saw Xue Yan because Xue Yan is Daiyu's servant. So Baoyu saw the servant of Daiyu. He thought this must be Daiyu, and he was overjoyed. He was happy. After the ceremony finished, Baoyu and his new wife retired to the bridal chamber. Baoyu could no longer contain his excitement and reached over and pulled the veil from her face. Yet, as he did so, he received a huge surprise, for beneath it he saw Baochai's face. Baochai. He rubbed his eyes and looked again, to make sure it was not all some strange dream. What is going on? When he found that it was indeed Baochai, and that Daiyu was nowhere to be seen, he froze to the spot. A servant had to come and make him sit down, though he continued to stare into space, his mouth wide open in shock. Page 201. Meanwhile, Daiyu's strength was slipping from her. However, she forced her eyes to open a little bit and felt for Zijuan's hand. "Please help me, please help me," she whispered hoarsely. "I have no loved one in this place, but my life has been chaste. So please instruct them to send me back to my home." At the end of her short speech, she splattered and coughed, her breath heavy and labored. While Zijuan was looking for Li Wan, Tan Chun arrived to see Daiyu. She found Daiyu's hand cold, and her eyes glazed over. Tan Chun burst into tears, then sent for water to wash her. Li Wan entered and helped Tan Chun and Zijuan wash Daiyu, who suddenly screamed out, "Baoyu! Baoyu! How?" She then closed her eyes. A cold sweat spread over her frail body. She would never speak again. Tan Chun, Li Wan, and Zijuan all started to cry. They thought they heard music coming from afar, but as soon as they noticed it, it seemed to disappear. Li Wan and Tan Chun went outside to try and hear it again, but heard only the wind shifting through the bamboo. The moonlight shone down on them, and they were filled with sorrow. Page 202. When she heard of Daiyu's death, Lady Dowager ordered that no one tell Baoyu, in case it should make him even more ill. However, Baochai realized that his sickness was caused by his desire for Daiyu. So when they were alone, she told him the truth. Though Baoyu began to cry and wail, his pulse soon became steady, and it looked as if he might recover. Despite getting better, Baoyu would not forget Daiyu and insisted on going to mourn her properly. The doctor, however, saw that he should do all he could to put these feelings behind him, or else the medicine would have no chance of success. Hearing this, Baoyu at once rose from his bed and wanted to go to Bamboo Lodge. The lady dowager had to send for a bamboo chair, and Baoyu was helped onto it. Then they set off, the old lady and Lady Wang leading the way. When the lady dowager saw Daiyu's coffin, she sobbed until she felt faint. Baoyu could not help thinking of the last time he visited the lodge. The building was still there, but the girl inside has gone forever. He felt his whole body fill with grief. By the next morning, when visitors came to check on him, they found him physically exhausted, but otherwise fine. Page 203. Jia Zheng had taken most of his previous posts in the capital, and he thought that his job in the provinces would be more of the same. However, his subordinates thought that they would be able to accrue a lot of wealth once out of the capital, only to find their ambitions soared by their steadfast boss. Many of his junior officials therefore came to Jia Zheng en masse to quit, leaving only a few family servants to work with him. The gateman Li Shi was among those that remained with Jia Zheng. One morning, Jia Zheng needed to go out on business. But though the gong sounded 3 times as he left the building, the servants could not muster enough men to both beat the main drum in the hall and clear the path for their master's departure. After Jia Zheng had settled himself in his sedan chair, he found he had to wait a long time for the bearers to get ready. Furthermore, when they left the last gate, the gun fired only a single salute. While there were only 2 musicians, a trumpeter and a drummer, playing on the bandstand, Jia Zheng could contain his anger no longer. He gathered his whole staff together to inspect them, and was not impressed with what he found. So Jia Zheng does not have a big team, only 1 trumpeter and not even enough carriage men. Page 204. While staying away for business, Jia Zheng kept himself busy by reading through the reports on his desk. Among them, he found one from the Justice Department, which mentioned Xue Pan, a merchant from Jinling. Jia Zheng was instantly worried, as the matter he had clearly been referred to higher authority. He continued reading the account of how Xue Pan had fought and murdered a man, then bribed many witnesses and officials to return a verdict of manslaughter. The report recommended that Xue Pan be executed by strangulation once the case had been reviewed by palace officials. As Aunt Xue had asked Jia Zheng to speak with the magistrate, which he had done, he might find himself punished if the palace official ordered all those involved with the case to be reprimanded. Jia Zheng was therefore very nervous. At that time, a letter arrived from the garrison commander of Haimen, a man called Zhou Qiong, which once again asked whether Jia Zheng would agree to Zhou Qiong's son marrying Tan Chun. Li Shi'er pointed out that the match might come in useful, since Zhou Qiong was related to the governor of Jiangxi. Jia Zheng therefore agreed to the match. A few days later, however, he learned that he would not be punished, as only the local magistrate was to lose his job. Page 205. Since she had spent okay, we do it next time.